I just wanted to talk very briefly about two things I want to interrupt with because I rambled a little bit before I got to the point of this video. Is don't use random little scrap paper for notes, for ideas, for journaling, for to-do lists. Keep that stuff in a proper notebook, because if you use up all these little scrap papers, as I did, and then recycle them, they're gone. Or if you do use lots of little random scrap papers the way I did, don't recycle them, put them into a notebook. Just keep them. And basically the rest of the video is me explaining more detail about why I say that. Then the second thing is I was going to upload this video as one thing, unedited, but then I found out I can't use the greater than or less than symbols in the YouTube video title. What the heck? I was going to make the video title, Notebook is greater than random scraps of paper. I can't do that. What the hell? Such a weird thing. Anyways, back to the point of this video. I was talking about journaling or to-do lists or just keeping track of things in general for a very long time. For literally years. I'd say like 4, 5, 6 plus years. I have been using up all the random little bits of scrap paper that I could find around my parents' place. A long time ago, I went through my parents' entire house and I found all the scrap paper where the information that was on it is irrelevant and we don't need it and we can scribble it out. And then there's a little bit of space left on that piece of paper, and like that's still usable. Or maybe the backside is still completely clean. And so I've been doing that, where I write down my video ideas or I write down my to-do list or anything on random little bits of scrap paper, and they're just scattered everywhere and it's a disaster. And I've been doing this purely for the sake of using them up, getting rid of them. But I honestly wish so badly that I had all of that randomness in order and documented, because what I would do is I would write something down on a piece of paper, then I would do that thing and then just recycle the piece of paper. Done with it. Use it up. But it would be really cool to look back on all that random nonsense notes. So I really, really wish I would have, from the beginning, just done everything in a regular notebook. Everything. All the random little notes of anything. Everything. Just put it all in one place and keep it organized into one place chronologically as I come up with it and as I write it. And then from there, so what I've been doing with my normal daily journal, long form journaling, where I just write down anything, everything. What I've been doing is I begin to notice certain things that I just tend to always do. For example, every morning I tend to, or actually sometimes at night for the next day, I tend to write my to-do list. And so I then separated out my to-do list onto a separate piece of paper. This is a random piece of scrap paper. Really, ideally, it should be in its own separate notebook. Something where when I cross it out, I'm not going to throw away that piece of paper. I will still have it, because it's just cool to look back on, and it helps jog my memory and like put me back into the place I was when I wrote that note, and helps me remember in general my life, because it's so easy to just forget all the details. And then if you have that, not just the concepts you were thinking about at the time, but literally the piece of paper you wrote it on, it can really bring you back and be like, oh yeah, now I remember all these other details surrounding that time. And it can help you remember your life and process things better, and instead of the past just kind of disappearing into this ethereal of unprocessed, undigested concepts and thoughts and ideas and emotions, and letting it all fester away in there forever. It helps to be able to continue to process things and work through things when you can see it, because it frees up brain power that you aren't having to use part of your brain to hold on to all these thoughts and then the other part of you to analyze those thoughts. It's like the paper is holding on to the idea for you. And then it frees up the brain power to be able to process it. And so then what I did is, from my to-do list, I tended to notice that a lot of it was to get things that I needed to get. So I separated out from my to-do list a to-get list. And then that thing, even, I began to notice it was like things that I needed to get and things that I wanted to get. So like, I need to get another tweezers because mine is just terrible. I need to get this footage from this person, or a second pair of glasses because these will break again eventually. I need another dresser. I need a bed. Long story, I'll explain that in a different video. I need dirt for my plants. I need to repot some of my plants. Not this one, he's fine. Sebastian is doing well. I want another webcam, another Zoom recorder, another mixer for my XLR mic. So I separated that out. And then I also separated out like video ideas into its own random bits of scrap paper, where this should be in its own notebook instead. That's basically all I wanted to say. Actually, I should have summarized this at the beginning of the video. Learn from my mistakes. Don't use a bunch of random scrap paper. Just get a notebook, keep everything in one place, and when you notice certain patterns, certain things that you just always tend to do, then you can separate that out into its own separate notebook, and then continue to use your main notebook for everything else until you start noticing another pattern. You're like, oh, here's another thing that I tend to just automatically always do in this main like brain dump notebook. And then you can separate that out and have separate spaces. For example, I separated out, oh God, what is this? Awful. I separated out my habit tracker, my sleep tracker, my weekly recap, where not only do I do a journal entry every morning and every night, but I also do like a brief little overview of each day in each of these squares, so I can look at the week and just be like, oh yeah, that's the week. I don't have to spend the time to read through this thing. I can just look over this brief little review of each day. Here's the new one I just wrote for this week. It's empty because this is today. This is another example of something that I've separated out because it's something that I just automatically started doing in here routinely. But yeah, that's all it is. That's all this video is don't use random scrap papers because there's so much of my life over the last 6 years that is gone. I've recycled it. Or again, as I said in the interruption at the beginning of this video, and now I have this interruption at the end, basically saying, if you do, put those scrap papers into a notebook. Don't get rid of them, okay? Don't get rid of them. I realized that when I dropped this, you probably didn't hear the don't, because all you heard was the... All that's left is what's here. If I try to think back upon that time and reflect on it and try to learn lessons from it, from that period of my life, all I have is this. I don't have this because I recycled it. That's all. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Let me know what you think down below. Subscribe for more and share my videos with anyone else you think might enjoy them.